Welcome back to The Algorithm Speaks, where we basically take the internet, shake it vigorously, and see what kind of interesting, stuff falls out.
A very scientific process.
Very, very scientific. This week, you folks have given us a particularly colorful collection of internet reactions, a real cross-section of the digital landscape. We've got everything from trade wars to tech CEOs behaving badly, and even a dash of, well, international intrigue. Think of this deep dive as your guide to the wild and wacky world of online discourse.
Indeed. What's particularly fascinating about this collection is the raw, unfiltered nature of the opinions expressed. It's a glimpse into, the collective consciousness of the internet, for better or for worse.
Absolutely. So let's dive in, shall we? Where do you even begin? How about we kick things off with the never-ending saga of tariffs? User Euphoenix25 wants to know why California seems to be getting a free pass in the trade war, while You Despair Envy is arguing that tariffs are unconstitutional, an overreach of federal power, and that California is kind of fighting back in a really interesting way. What's the crux of the argument here?
Well, what's really interesting is the clash between federal policy and the state's response, all framed around constitutional principles. It suggests a breakdown in the expected uniformity, of economic policy across the states.
Yeah, and it's not just California feeling the heat. We have Senator Rand Paul, the good senator from Kentucky, warning that historically tariffs have actually led to pretty big losses for the very party that imposed them. He even name-dropped the McKinley and Smoot-Hawley tariffs, for good measure. So are we witnessing history repeating itself? Is this like an economic Groundhog Day situation?
Well, it certainly raises important questions about the long-term consequences of these policies, both political and economic. The historical examples he cited do provide a compelling, if concerning, precedent.
Right. And adding fuel to the fire, we have this very spirited discussion about increased tariffs on a whole bunch of countries. You're the governess, 1998, bless their heart, went above and beyond providing this incredibly detailed list of impacted nations and the actual percentage increases. And the comments, oh, they're gold. You've got folks like you, Kilroy Ledges, worried about the price of their electronics going up. And then you've got You Kick My Dog, basically lamenting the death of global alliances. Sounds like some online shopping carts are about to get a lot more expensive. And then you've got You Strang Brew, who's trying to bring some sanity to the chaos. They're explaining, with a rather clever car-buying analogy, why trade deficits aren't always the economic apocalypse that people make them out to be. It's a good reminder to, think critically about those sweeping trade deficit equals bad statements.
Absolutely. I think the key takeaway here is that tariffs are essentially a tax. And that cost, well, it tends to trickle down to the consumer in the form of higher prices. The car buying analogy is, it's actually quite helpful in illustrating that trade in general is a mutually beneficial exchange. It's not necessarily a zero-sum game where, one side wins and the other loses.
Makes you think, doesn't it? Okay, moving on from potential economic doom and gloom, let's talk about everyone's favorite tech mogul slash Twitter villain, you guessed it, Elon Musk. The internet is having a collective meltdown over his group taking down a video of a $1 million contest winner who just happened to mention using the money to, vote. And now everyone's crying election interference. It's like the drama just follows this guy around, doesn't it?
Well, what's fascinating here is the immediate link being drawn between this, significant financial reward and participation in the democratic process. It raises some pretty serious ethical questions about the potential for undue influence, even if that wasn't, the explicit intent. It really highlights the complexities of navigating free speech and election integrity in the digital age.
Complex is one way to put it. The comment section is a real gold mine. Old School Robot is already predicting that Musk's defense will be woke bias. And Yuda Virabon is off on this tangent about potential legal ramifications and even suggesting Musk might flee the country. The internet loves a good conspiracy theory, doesn't it?
It does, and this whole situation raises some interesting questions about the accountability of these powerful individuals and the extent to which their actions, even seemingly insignificant ones, can be perceived as having political motivations. The perception of influence, real or imagined, can have pretty significant consequences.
Oh, absolutely. And then we have the SEC still pursuing that $150 million lawsuit against Musk over the whole X fiasco. Paleo 2002 basically summed up the internet's mood by calling it a symbolic gesture compared to the voting comments. Yeah, public opinion on Mr. Musk's recent escapades is, well, let's just say it's pretty divided.
If we connect this to the broader context, it really underscores the ongoing challenges of regulating the behavior of these highly influential figures in the tech industry. The speed and scale of online communication create a whole new set of regulatory hurdles.
Challenges indeed. All right, let's shift gears and head over to the political arena. Wisconsin, it seems, is the center of attention this week. Even the slightest hint of potential changes to gerrymandering has folks like Under Panda shouting "good" from the digital rooftops. And judging by the upvotes, a lot of people seem to agree the idea of fairer maps, well, it's clearly resonating with the masses.
What's really interesting here is the raw emotional response to the possibility of, a more equitable system. Gerrymandering can really distort the will of the voters and create these entrenched power structures. So any movement towards fairness is likely to be met with pretty strong reactions.
And then, of course, you have the other side of the coin. You obviously been 9970 is out here proclaiming that Wisconsin has fallen. But that sentiment didn't exactly get the same warm reception, judging by the downvotes. It's a good reminder that the same event can be interpreted in vastly different ways. One person's victory for democracy is another person's, well, political apocalypse.
That's right. It really highlights the fundamental question of what actually constitutes fair representation and how different political groups perceive the rules of the game. Changes to electoral maps can have some pretty significant implications for political power. So it's understandable that people are going to have strong opinions about it.
And then there was Senator Booker's epic Senate speech. Oh, the internet had a field day with that one. We had not many names left now praising it as patriotic and inspiring, while Uduna the Sooner couldn't resist comparing it to Ted Cruz reading Green Eggs and Ham.
Yeah.
You gotta love the internet's sense of humor.
It certainly highlights the diverse range of tactics politicians use to capture attention, and the effectiveness of those tactics, well, that's often very subjective.
Now, let's hop across the pond for a moment. Germany's Schultz decided to publicly condemn former President Trump's, let's just say, interesting comments about Canada. And this, of course, sparked a wave of online support from our Canadian friends. But the real highlight was Ubuchenlazer85, who accidentally used the Belgian flag instead of the German one. A classic internet blunder. Proof that even in the midst of serious international affairs, there's always room for a good laugh.
What I find fascinating is the way international actors and online communities engage with these diplomatic tensions. It highlights the interconnectedness of global politics and how social media can really amplify those reactions. And yes, a bit of human error, well, it can certainly inject some humor into even the most serious of situations.
Absolutely. Speaking of serious, there's this truly disturbing story about the Trump administration accidentally sending a Maryland father to a Salvadoran mega prison. The comment section is understandably outraged, with folks like Uhtred comparing it to totalitarian regimes. This goes way beyond a simple bureaucratic mistake.
This raises some very serious questions about due process and accountability within government agencies. The possibility that administrative errors could lead to such profound violations of individual liberty is incredibly concerning. It really demands a closer look.
Absolutely. And finally, back in Europe, Marine Le Pen has been barred from holding office in France due to embezzlement. This has sparked a whole range of reactions, with some folks like Yuta Quanta drawing parallels to a certain former U.S. president and the question of accountability for political leaders. It seems the world's watching closely to see how different countries handle allegations of misconduct at the highest levels.
It does highlight the global conversation around political ethics and the potential consequences for those who violate, the public trust. Different legal and political systems offer a variety of approaches to addressing these issues.
So after this deep dive into the digital ocean of opinions, what have we learned? Well, the internet was buzzing about trade, tech, and the ever-chaotic world of politics, both here and abroad. It's a good reminder that online reactions, for all their noise and chaos, can provide a real-time glimpse into public sentiment.
Indeed. And the vast spectrum of opinions, from the incredibly insightful to the, let's just say, less insightful, really underscores the complexity of these issues. It's a reminder to always consider multiple perspectives.
Couldn't agree more. This has been a fascinating journey through the online landscape, all thanks to the amazing sources you all shared with us. We hope this deep dive has given you some food for thought, maybe spark some interesting conversations.
And hopefully it encourages you to explore these topics further. What stood out to you the most in all of this? What questions are still, swirling around in your mind?
Exactly. Keep those sources coming, and we'll keep diving deep.
Until next time.
Thanks for listening to The Algorithm Speaks.